Welcome to the Sports Car Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Happy Sunday. I'm trying to bring the energy. It was a long show yesterday, and we're recording, and I say we are recording a little early because I brought my man Tyler on today to just help recap the Causeway show that we did yesterday in Boston. Tyler, how you doing today?
Not too bad, recovering from yesterday. It was a long day, early drive to your house, and uh, long but very productive day, and it was a great show.
Yeah. Before we jump into it, I just wanted to little PSA. Right, so I dropped the video. If you're subscribed on YouTube, you saw there was an extra video this week, and some called it an emergency notification. But I had purchased, and if you missed it, I'm going to tell you what it is, but you can certainly go back and take a look. I had purchased some Panini Donruss blasters from Target this week, and I got home and opened them up, and every pack, there was just base cards inside every pack. So after the first one and starting the second one, I had my wife open them, and I just recorded it, and then I contacted Panini, and they said, if you have a video, put it up on a link to it, put it on YouTube, fill out this stuff. So they told me what to do. I explained it in the video, and I posted it up there. But it turned out it wasn't an isolated issue. It's been like this massive Donruss blasters at the NFL blasters at Target are all duds. There's no hit cards. They're just full of vet base cards inside these. So, the word on the street now is don't buy Panini blasters from Donruss blasters from Target. So, thoughts on that at all before we move on?
Kind of a wild scenario, like something you'd never think about happening, right? That's so, and probably even more interesting that how they told you to put it online.
Yeah.
Make it. Great advertisement from Panini Sport.
And it's funny because I put it up there and I expected, I'm going to get a handful of watches, like, who's going to, and I start out saying it's a short, boring video. Don't even bother watching it, but it's like taking on a life of its own now, right? That video, which is very funny, like things you never plan on happening. This is what happens. But yeah, now I see it's like so many people have commented. There's actually, I think somebody made a Facebook group now of people who opened these boxes and got nothing. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's your Mac Jones 2 round of fame.
Yeah, my Mac Jones PSA 3. Yeah. So anyways, that's it on that. Back to the Causeway show. So, I say I love this show. All right, because here's the thing. I think it's a perfect location. I think it brings a lot of foot traffic in. It brings money in, and I think it just brings in a good mix of different types, and I'm going to say collectors, right? Just different types of collectors. We know at the end of the day, most people are flipping the cards, or there's a sale or something like that. But it brings in a lot of people too that we saw that are in the hobby, and they don't probably get out to many shows, so they're coming to this show to kind of sell their cards and create some income to purchase some newer cards.
Yeah, I mean, I think you had a really good variety in the room, right? And this is one of my second time I've ever done a Causeway show. I went, with you in January as just as a passenger, and walked the show and kind of took it in from that perspective, and it was very good from there. There's a lot of variety in the room. I would just walk around with a small case and bought and sold and kind of did the usual thing, and then this time, fortunate enough that you were able to offer me a table, and we set up, and it was very good. I think and it was interesting. As you and I've set up more and more together next to each other, I think we've kind of put together a pretty nice little strategy of how we kind of do things, and I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit. But very productive from that
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I do want to say too that I know you're saying you've just been back in this a year and you're fairly new coming back, but just watching you operate, it's like you've been doing this for years, very polished, right? And I think people that come up to the table, I think they think you've been doing this for years, like and it's good. It's nice to see. And even me sitting up next to you, I'm picking up tips and tricks from some. Now I've been doing this, obviously a little bit longer, but being I was an educator my whole life, so I learn. I'm like a sponge. I learn from other people, and it's great to be able just to. Here's the thing about this hobby: it doesn't matter where you came from in this hobby, but you bring skills, right? No
Yeah.
matter where you are in your life, no matter what you do, what your job is, you bring some type of skill in. And those are the things that I think is just really neat to learn from other people, to see their skills that they bring into this space and how they utilize them.
Yeah, I think I appreciate the kind words, and it's unique. When I first jumped back in, for the first 3 months or so, 4 months before I even never dreamed of getting a table at a local show for myself, I was the person walking the room, just kind of buying what I liked, maybe buying something and selling it, and or getting something online and seeing the market. And all I tried to do was, when I first got my first table, was what were the things that I liked that dealers did, and what were the things I didn't like, and to your point, be a sponge, learn from that, and and you've mentioned it 1,000 times, but every time somebody walks up the table, it's just a customer service experience.
Yeah.
Um, and you want those people to come back, and and you just kind of build that strategy as you go. And you and I've talked a lot about the getting down to a single case, and just kind of creating that vibe that we want at that table. And yeah, that's kind of how it's going. And that the show is great for it, right? And it's a good mix of the people in the room, collectors, just the average person walking in, and then you have the folks who do a lot of repack work, spending a lot of cash in the room, and
Yeah.
everybody has a space, and it all works
Mm.
really good if everybody just works together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really
I think
important piece.
there's enough to go around. Right,
100%.
which is kind of nice. A lot of big deals happening in that room early, which we noticed that a lot of these guys, we refer to them as repackers or just buyers or whatever they're doing, in that room early, buying up, big lots early, which I early bird gets the worm, right? This is, you want to be that person. But the funny thing was, I mean, that was a very long day. Even though it was 10 to 4, it was a busy room, it was a long day, and these guys were still making deals, right? At
Mhm.
5 minutes to 4, people are packing up and there's still deals being done. So, it just goes to show you, like, how much turnover in inventory that happens. And we saw it happen just with us, but with everybody else in the room, people coming, people buying and selling. And these guys that are walking around, they're hoping that we've bought stuff, that stuff that they've missed, or we've bought stuff, because they're circling back around. And I know, like, I didn't sell to anybody. I didn't sell to any repackers yesterday, but I know you had a situation, and Jordan was with us too,
Yep.
right? And he had some stuff. He was dealing with somebody too, but they circled back around and came back at the end of the day and made another deal. Like, you had brand new inventory, going back out again.
Yeah, and to your point, it was a long day because while the show started at 10, we were in at probably set up by 8:45, and my plan was to go out and kind of walk the room. I didn't get a chance. Shout out Mikey at Mikey Sports Cards. He's at my table somehow by like 9:10, and he buys 3/4 of my case. So then I'm just a full buying station at that point. And then poor Ken, for everybody who's listening, he had to wait on me at the end of the day because I'm doing one last deal with Logan from 860 Slabs. So shout out to him. We did, I think, 3 or 4 deals throughout the day. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's a chance for everybody to win. And it's just and I think when you talk about the circling around point, I think we talk about it a lot. It's just taking care of each other in the hobby when you can, right? There were some opportunities yesterday. I got some stuff at a really great number and was able to give some of those guys a little better number than I normally do because I know then when I need a extra 2% on the other side, they'll make it up to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big piece of it is you know just taking care of each other.
Yeah, it's true. I have to say that a couple of things, my observations from the show. One, if you know me and you've seen me at a shows, and if I have a 6-foot table, I use 6.5 feet. And if I
Yeah,
have an 8-foot table, I'm using 9 feet, right? I'm using every inch of that, right? Trying to just create the flashiest billboard to get people this to come in and and one thing I do have to say that I think was so important and that I saw it in Atlanta when we set up in Atlanta, and I saw it yesterday at Causeway, is not using up all that space, leaving the space open so people could come up and put their cases down and do that stuff. And there were at one point we had a line at the table,
oh yeah,
right? People just started line. We just had a nice little buying sign, but people just started lining up, right? Because they see somebody else there with their stuff out, and that created, as I'm standing back watching it and I'm looking and I just walked outside the table to see what it looked like, right? It created an inviting experience, right? It created where people are like, oh, this guy's selling and this guy's selling. I'm just going to get in line behind him, right? Because
yeah.
it looks like something good is happening here, right? And I want to be part of it, right? So that was, and we talked about this buying station setup, and I said they helped me out, right? Because they're not selling much, right?
Yep.
But yeah. I mean, it took a little while, but it really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. And then the other thing too, we've talked about a few times is sometimes less is more. And I had some bigger cards in the case yesterday that were I had no intention of selling, but they were just there because when somebody sees that you have some of those bigger cards in the case, they're more apt to offer you if you're interested in a bigger card.
Yep.
And I mean, I made two really big offers on massive cards yesterday and kicked myself for not offering on another one. But I mean, we had probably a $6,000 Joe Burrow rookie auto walk up to the table, a Matt Jaden Daniels Kaboom PSA 10 that I'm offered on, McCarthy Gold Downtown. We probably got to experience maybe the best Lamar Jackson collection that we've ever seen,
Yeah.
and no intention to buy it, most of any of
Mm.
it,
Yeah.
but I was just happy to look at it because I mean that case was $50,000 or $60,000 worth of Lamar Jackson by
Mm.
itself, and
Most
it was
people would
in a
have
very
most
small
people would
case.
have had that in a safe. Never
Oh
mind, never mind in a plastic case walking around the show.
yeah, every low pop Lamar Jackson rookie you can think of was there, and and in the crazy draft day booklet collection
Yeah.
I don't even have a clue what that's worth because that's the actual jersey he had on the stage at the draft. Like, but it was just awesome getting to see that, and we got to see that because I think people were, bringing stuff up. You got, tried to work a deal on that Joe Burrow one of one. You picked up a nice Daniels redemption, right? We got to see all of that, and I think
Yeah.
it's just building that um, almost just building a little bit of a brand at the table,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just kind of works. And it was good yesterday. It was good to see as we've rethought that a little bit, just how it kind of works out.
Mhm. And I think too, at a show like that, not only is there a lot more money in the room, there's, like you just said, there's a lot more bigger cards in the room. So a show like this, I think, you're going to see a lot of all these cards you just mentioned
Yep.
that are showing up, and people are planning ahead. Like, this is a big deal. We're going to the show. We're going to Causeway. We're making that trip to Boston. We want to, make some deals and things like that versus, a lot of the more local shows. And I'm not saying that there's not money there, and I'm not saying that there's no big cards there, but I think yesterday it just felt like every case, every person that came and opened up a case, I just felt the level of cards were that much higher in more cases.
Oh yeah. I think I certainly experienced that as well. As as I sat there with a laptop and looked at so many cards yesterday. And even the cards that we didn't buy, or and didn't sell, because I mean, realistically, I probably re everything I sold, I pretty much spent back, just restocking and re-inventorying, for the most part. But the other thing is, when you get to see that many cards and you kind of get to know those people who are showing you those cards, even if you don't buy them, when you're down the road and maybe you do want to buy them, or somebody who's looking for one of those cards, now you have another connection that you can connect that person to, and create that experience for everybody. And that's a big part of it. A show like yesterday is, and I encourage you folks to go, Causeway or some of these bigger shows every now and then when you get a chance, because you know Ken and I've talked about it a lot. As you've listened, the the show experiences means a lot for us. It's important. We enjoy getting out and getting to see everybody and doing that. And a show like yesterday really allows that to happen, and is what makes that possible.
Yeah, yeah, and I like those regional shows, especially with the podcast, right? I like the regional shows like that because it draws people in. Like I'm traveling to, and they may be traveling, but then you start to meet some of the listeners that you only see once or twice a year, or maybe we've never met, or I've never met, that they come and say, "Hey, I love the podcast." Like when we went to Atlanta, a lot of people down that. I'm not usually in that area, so the people in that area are coming into that show. So it's nice, like the regional shows or the bigger, like the national is unbelievable, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you could run into just anybody there from all over the world. But yeah, it's great to see a lot of people, and the communication too. Like you talk to people, people come up and say, and like I talk to a lot of people, as probably you do. You're messaging with people all day long and say, "Hey, you remember me?" But then all of a sudden they'll say, "Oh, I was the one that had that Burrow one of one gold vinyl," and then you're like, "I know exactly who you are." And then they'll pull that card out or something like that.
yep,
So it really like brings everything full circle.
100%. And shout out to everybody who gave Jordan some heck about needing to schlep coffee from our previous discussions on podcast. That was fantastic. Listen to everybody ask him to go get him coffee yesterday. So
The small price to pay, right?
yeah, exactly.
Uh, so I have to say, and you've all heard this before, but one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? I know I shouldn't be ripping as much as those boxes as I do, but then I creating these singles boxes and I line them up, and I'll tell you what, it I hate doing it. It's a ton of work. I spent a whole day preparing those boxes for this show, but then afterwards I sit back and I watch like 8, 10 people in those boxes like all day long pulling stuff out and stuff that I would never do anything with, but that stuff means so much to other people, and it's their lifeline in the hobby, right? And they thank me every time. I have a number of people, when they see me, they come running over because they know the quality of cards. Everything is pack pulled that's dropped into that thing. They know the quality of cards they're getting out of there, and it's their lifeline. It's their piece of the hobby. It's what they do. They're buying these and reselling them somewhere else.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've become the singles boxes king here the last few months. Uh, what I'm always amazed at is, I'm like, I'll see you sell all of those at Mohegan, or all of those in Atlanta, and then more and more come out, and I'm like, do these boxes ever end? When I pull up to your garage and I see the stack, I'm like, there's a lot of boxes here. I don't know if they're ever going to end.
And I'm only bringing the ultra modern stuff out there. The older stuff nobody really wants anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I go to these small shows like the New Britain and things like that, and those boxes in the garage go there because they're 2020, 2021, 2022, and they have people that are creating sets. right? So I'll just put them out there, and people will come through and they'll rummage through those boxes to make their sets. And I mean, I'm sure there's other people finding stuff to resell, because certain guys will pop later. It'll take a year or two before they pop, and I'm sure I miss some good cards in there every now and then. I'm
Oh,
sure
for
they'll
sure.
find some gems in there. Oh man. I'll tell you what. Tell me, answer me this, because there's something we really never talked about. We always talk about getting ready for the show. Uh, what does it take for you to get ready for a show?
So it used to be a lot more when I was doing more, and I took singles boxes like you. I don't know if anybody realizes how much work that is. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. Just even if you're not trying to value the card and you're just saying this general range is $1, this is $2, etc. That takes a lot of work. I don't do as much of that anymore. So for me, it's you know I just kind of take. I always have everything bagged. I try to comp everything a day or two before. And you've seen it. I always have my sheet, either my notebook or a printed sheet, where I know kind of where I'm into a card at, things like that. Because I want to be able to, you know, do as much business as I can without having to look down at the phone or the computer or anything like that to recomp a card. I just want to, be straightforward with that. So most of my prep work is kind of creating that little system for myself, and then just deciding, what cards are going to go with me, what cards are going to stay behind, um, and so at this point it is strategy for me, that just that system plus the strategy of what I'm trying to do in the show. you
Mhm.
know Atlanta was more of I was there to sell a lot of stuff. Did I buy a lot of stuff too? Sure. But that's what it was. When we went to Causeway, you and I've talked about it. It was prepping to buy. So probably where I spent the most work for this particular show was reaching out to my contacts that I normally sell stuff to online, etc., and getting an idea of what stuff they wanted, because it makes it a lot easier to buy, if you know that you can always move it, regardless if you want to keep it for a certain percentage, because then you have a safe floor built in. And so I had those lists of things there on my computer that I knew these guys wanted to buy these things.
Mhm.
And so I was looking for stuff for them too. And sometimes there was a few times just that I bought stuff that I literally was just the middleman, won't make anything on, uh, but I just bought it for them at the percentage that they'll buy it for, and I'll just ship it to them, and they'll just refund me the money. And I do that occasionally because that just makes that relationship stronger.
Yeah.
So that's what that strategy is for me these days. Is it's really all about strategy.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
work doesn't take too much when it's just you know 40, 30, 40, 50 cards.
Yeah.
Take some time to comp it, but that's about it.
Yeah. And you're shipping across the country. I mean, it's not like you're shipping to the next state over, or a guy in the same state. I mean, you're shipping across the country. So you know, for all intent and purposes, you're shopping for somebody in Missouri
Yep.
or Kentucky, or
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's some guys on the list in Missouri and California and Texas that I regularly do a lot of business with. As a good guy in Pennsylvania that I ship to, and I know what they want. And some of that stuff I keep, and I try to move it, and get my maximum value. But
Mhm.
a fair amount of it is just, I can pick it up. If I don't move it the same day for the better percentage, I just know exactly where I can go to for the percentage I get. It also makes negotiation a lot easier when
Yeah.
when I put it in the case and somebody makes a number. I know what I'm going to get on it already before anything happens with that card,
Mhm.
so I can just set a price and I don't have to do a lot of haggling. I know you love the no nonsense negotiation, so
But
it creates a lot of that for
yeah,
me.
and what I did yesterday too was the first time I did this, and mostly anything that was a common card, a slabbed card, but there was lots of sales on it, and a good pop count on it, or a high pop count. I just went and looked at whatever the last sale was, right? I did this Friday night. Whatever the last sale was, that's what I priced it at. So when
Yep.
people walked up to the table and say they're looking at it, they know, and I know if they'll say, "Oh, well, the last sale," I'm like, "No, the last sale is the sticker because I just did this last night." Unless one sold this morning, right? Between 8 o'clock last night and 9 o'clock this morning, if one sold, then it did. But if not, though, that was the last sale on it, and we can work from there because there's no sense me saying, "Hey, if a car." The car is selling at 100. I've been putting like 110 or 120 on the card. We're going the opposite way anyways. Now it's just easier for me to say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to price the thing, whatever the last sale was. And then I know it reminds me I have to buy well, right? I have to get into that card at a price because, this is where, and if it goes up, then, that's a bonus. And if it goes down, it's, okay, I've cut into my margins, and then I choose, do I want to sell that card or do I not want to sell that card? But I think that helped me yesterday speed up. Like I don't like to stand and negotiate a long time anyways, but it helped me speed everything up where I just said, and people said, well, there's the last sale on it. Well, do you have room? Well, you can make me an offer and I can say yes or no. Right.
But, and I agree with you 100%. I think that's not only speeds it up, is I think it promotes engagement. And I think it's a good lesson for somebody to take. Because if you just stickered at that last comp, and first of all, I love that you sticker your prices up on the top of the card. I try to do the same. I think it's a big benefit for everybody in the hobby to do because people are more likely to talk to you about the card. And if you're stickered at the last comp and they see that you're stickered at the last comp, they're more likely to engage you on the card because they don't make an assumption that you're over the comp and going to be difficult to deal with. Mm-hmm. If you know what I'm saying, like that's, yep. I think that is a big part of that and something that everybody could do. Now, obviously, if the last comp is a ridiculously low comp or something that it just doesn't make any sense, you have to do a little other work on their side. But 98% of the time, doing exactly what you said is the right way to do it. It drives engagement. I think it fosters that sense of openness mm-hmm. to everybody, both from the consumer and the dealer. Yep. And it's just a great way to operate inside the business.
Yep. And I had that nice Mahomes, the rookie Blue Wave to 149 that I just picked up last week, and I put it in my case, and guys came early and they're like, well, I think this is the value. And I said, yeah, you're right. And they're like, so do we have a deal? And I said, no. I said, it's too early to sell that card at what it's going to sell for, because everybody in that room is going to want to buy that card at that price. So if you want to pay a premium, you can take it early. But if not, you come back and see me at 1 or 2 o'clock, and if it's still here, you'll have a deal. And at some point somebody said, I completely understand. Here, I'll throw you an extra $100 for it. Okay, perfect. Now I'll take the car. It was that type of thing.
100%. And you can, that's the other lesson to take. When you have that kind of card, it can be big or small. As long as you understand the rarity, it's a big piece of the negotiation tactic. I had a small card very similar with one last low comp, and the guy kept offering like a couple dollars more, and it was cracking Jordan up. But I was like, no, here's a flat number, which was $50 off my sticker price on a $150 card. And he just couldn't get there, and he came back like a fourth time to get it, and I said, it's already gone. Like somebody else understands there's 11 of them in the world, and this is one of them, and they took it.
Yeah.
So
you have any pickups you want to share? I do, but I'll let you go first.
Sure. The first one I'll do is probably the most near and dear to my heart, and shout out from Matt from Providence, the guys that do the big vintage cards. They're set up in the lower room, but have a great vintage collection. And I picked up this lovely, well-centered 1954 Bowman Mickey Mantle. It's always one of my favorite cards. It's just a really beautiful photograph, and I was very excited to pick that one up. That's the one that'll set in the showcase. Probably never sell because it's just for me, and I like to just put it in there because people like to look at it. Shout out to Jordan, Zips Cards, little Justin Herbert second year black box 1 of 1 patch auto, which was really cool. So pick that up, and then a variety of things. Probably an interesting one, but a little DK Metcalf championship rookie ticket to 10. I'm kind of more excited about this card than other people's will, just because I really like rookie tickets. And then you know, quickly, Jackson Smith 101 for the Ohio State fans. That was pretty cool. And as we get into basketball season, picked up with some several RPAs like this Emmanuel Quickly, and then Ken's favorite basketball player, Mr. Anthony Edwards, little 10-10 auto there, and
And
so that was a
we did a deal together with that.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you took a nice card, which I'm sure you'll show off, and then I picked up a nice Desmond Bain, National Treasures RPA, which I know a lot of people love the cool patches, so I want to give that a shout out. And then I didn't pick it up yesterday, but I do want to give a shout out to your guy Homer Sports Cards. I saw him at Bill and Billy's Trade Night Friday night, and I picked up what I think is the most underrated wide receiver of all time, Mr. Mike Evans, a little 2014 Topps Triple Threads rookie auto numbered out of 30, which is probably maybe besides the mantle, the most exciting card that I bought the entire weekend, because you never see it.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool. So the pickups were awesome, because you got to pick up the stuff that is easy flips. I got to pick up stuff that you just don't see. And that's what makes the show awesome, is you just don't know what's going to walk up, and you get to pick those kind of things up.
So this came from Panini this week. It's the Kate Martin draft selections. It's numbered to 99. So it was a redemption that she signed, so it came back in. So I was super excited to get that. I wanted to share that one. Also a card that I ripped out of a box that I was super excited for last night. When I got home, I had some Megas Don Russ sitting waiting from Target, and I pulled my my Sam Laporta downtown out of there. So very clean card. Super excited about that. Campus Legends, purple cracked ice to 149, Caitlin Clark.
That's cool.
That was a fun pickup. And following suit, the Caitlin Clark Red Classic Icon PSA 10. This came out of the Monopoly. Shout out to Howard. I got that from our man Howard. Juju Watkins, Ray Wave, PSA 10. These were both Cameron Brink. These were out of the Select. This was the Future White Disco, numbered to 75, PSA 10. And the Neon Green Prism, numbered to 75, PSA 10. And probably two exciting cards. I'll show the biggest card first. And it's not even a card, it's a redemption. Right? It's the Jaden Daniels Chrome rookie autograph, orange geometric. So this is out of the Topps Chrome. It's just a redemption for an orange auto numbered to 25 of Jaden Daniels. So that was a big pickup for me. And you were there for that negotiation that started very high and came down a lot. So I was happy to get it. And I was thinking too, later in the day, I don't know how many people had any money left at later in the day. And I think probably because we were probably more popular than most, that people were circling back and trying to accept earlier offers.
Well, it was funny you say that, because I was listening to that negotiation out of my ear, and you all got to a number that I would have been willing to pay for that. And I was in my head, I'm like, I hope Ken buys it at that price, because if not, I'm going to have to tell that guy I will. And I'm just going to spend even more money today. So,
and probably my favorite pickup, this 2010 Rookies and Stars freshman orientation jersey autographs. It's Rob Gronkowski. This is player worn. This jersey was worn at the freshman orientation. The card is numbered. It's an on-card auto.
Crazy cool card.
Really cool card. On the back, it says the enclosed piece of jersey was cut from an authentic jersey personally worn by Rob Gronkowski on 5/22/10 at the NFL Players Rookie Premiere. The attached autograph is an official autograph signed by Rob Gronkowski. The authentic event-worn jersey and autograph were obtained and are guaranteed by Panini. Just such a cool card. I when I got this card, all I could think about was my man Carmine at Carmine's Cards, who this is the type of stuff he always buys. But I'm really happy to have that card, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that card yet. You know, that's one of those cards you're like, I don't know. I just got it. I might just hold that card for a little while. I don't know.
And it's interesting, that card and the Anthony Edwards that I showed was that card together. And I think, before we're done, that deal was really interesting because I believe the gentleman had a higher offer for the two cards, and it just goes to show you, that, trying to take care of people. We told him, if you have that offer and you can go get it, you should go get that. We can't quite get to that number. And I think he enjoyed the interaction and was happy with close to the number we offered. And he said, "Can you come up?" I think it was like $20, and we each added $10 to the
Yeah,
card and
yeah,
got the deal done. But I think that was a deal that got done probably not because we were the best offer, because I think we took the time, and he's openly said he was new to the hobby, and we kind of walked him through a little bit, and I showed him how I was comping it, and we we're just straightforward and honest about the whole thing.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And I think everybody won.
yeah, 100%.
All three of us won on that deal, which is right. That's the best way you want a deal to end.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to add?
No, just thanks for letting me jump on and join you today.
Yeah.
It was kind of a pleasant little surprise last night when I got home that you wanted me to help you recap the show. I appreciate it. It was a great show. Thank you again for letting me tag along and be your partner as always. And
Oh,
um, I look forward to the next one we get to do.
yep, absolutely. I think this is just going to be, show after show. Now it's going to be the Big Ken and Tyler show.
It's good. It's very enjoyable, and hopefully for those who's got to stop by and see us, that
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully you had a good interaction, and come and see us again for sure.
yeah, absolutely. And we'll be back with the Hobby Chop on Thursday. Brand new episode, just something just a little bit different, coming on Thursday. So
Yeah,
so get excited for it.
it'll be a fun one.
Yep. All right. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. And until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.